Alright, YouTube, it is Mr. Mean coming at you this Labor Day weekend. I hope everybody is doing well. Peace and prosperity be to you all. I've got a treat, as you can see on the screen. The fine folks over at Britannia Games, basically Mr. Stephen Turner, were kind enough to send me a preview copy of the finished PDF. It hasn't gone out to backers yet. The Kickstarter is over, obviously, and this is what's going to be going out to backers later this week, I think. As you can see, the Bestiary is done by Graham Davis and A.R. Crowley, two longtime supporters and contributors to the Chivalry and Sorcery moniker that is the crowning jewel in the Britannia Games library. Stephen Turner, of course, being the head cheese behind it. He's on my Discord, so, jump on there if you want to talk to him about this. But I'm going to say right off, thank you, Stephen, for sending this to me. It was very, very kind of you. This was provided by them. It's not a paid review, but he did give me a free copy. But the thoughts and opinions and everything is my own. I'm not being swayed just because I got some free swag. But you guys already know I'm a fan of Chivalry and Sorcery. For years, I always thought it was, the game that, it didn't do fantasy. It was historical, and it never was on my radar more than, picking up the book and flipping through it. And of course, Britannia Games got all the licensing and everything to do 5th edition Chivalry and Sorcery. And as I've stated in my previous reviews, it is awesome, amazing, and wonderful. And I got to play Barnabas Magnus, a wizard, in Stephen's game, and gosh, I had so much fun. There's some live recordings in the YouTube archive of Mr. Mean Speaks, so go back and check it out if you want. The audio is a little goofy on the second recording, but I think the first recording was really well done. So anyway, what we have here is a European folklore bestiary. Now, I'm going to say one caveat. If you have a hard time with Gaelic names, this may not be the book for you. There's a lot of them in here, and a lot of European names and or folklore that some of us Yanks are going to have a hard time with. But persevere, stick with it. I'm not even going to try to say them because I know I will mangle them, but I will try to say them, but I'll say them to the best of my ability. We're not going to do a full scan through the book because obviously I want you to go out and buy it. It's support the game. Ask your local game store to pick up a copy. It's a beautiful book. I think it's kicking in at 100 pages or so. I can't tell just because the way I got my screen set up right now. Let's see. Let me see if I can move it. How many pages are we? 153 pages of gaming goodness for you. So I think right there is about good. Hopefully you can see the full screen. I believe it's going to be a softback book, if my understanding is correctly. Stephen will probably watch the video and correct me on anything that is incorrect. But guys, here's the thing. This bestiary is not limited to Chivalry and Sorcery. If you're a GM, you can use this in other games that, we all have those players that memorize the bestiary for like D&D or Pathfinder or whatever game it is. And they know as soon as you start describing the monster, like, oh, that's so-and-so on page 138 of Bestiary 3. And you're like, oh, great joy. Here you can throw your players a curveball because a lot of these monsters you won't see in D&D and or your other traditional fantasy games, so you can really throw some curveballs or just use the lore that's presented in here in your current game. So even if you're not a Chivalry and Sorcery fan, which I think you should be, it's a fun game. This is a book that you're going to get a lot of use out of whether you play CNS or not. So we're just going to go through a couple a little bit. I dig the art because it's not your traditional fantasy art. This is very much folklore driven, midwife tales and things like that. So I personally really enjoy the art style. And it is extremely consistent throughout the book. There's a nice preface here by Graham Davis, so you can learn a little bit about it. And then, of course, all the mechanical stuff that you would need to run this in a Chivalry and Sorcery game. But here's here's the Abbey Lubber This is a minor demon that infests, spirit that infests abbeys. And so, I mean, look at the art. It's just cheerful, but he's got horns, but he's got the little friar haircut and everything, dressed in, your friar's outfit. And, of course, all the relevant mechanical data that you need to run this monster. And there's a whole bunch in here, and I love these things. The Alp Lacra, I think. It's a face here. It's basically a parasitic newt that attaches to you, and you can tell someone has one because they eat like 3-4 times the normal amount, and then this thing feeds off of that. So, and it's a face spirit, a parasitic newt. That's just cool. How many? There's not a ton of that in D&D. So this is something that you could easily convert to D&D, and the players wouldn't necessarily know that they are, infested or whatever. It's just super cool. So there's all kinds of stuff. The double-headed snake from Myth. I can't even say that one. Amphitheary. But it's a drake, basically. And then, of course, you've got your lizard men. But these are all based on European folklore. So there's even just the fluff alone is going to give you some really great ideas for your tabletop fantasy game. If you're playing chivalry and sorcery, then God, you've got a plethora of goodies, some good, some bad. But if you're playing, D&D or Pathfinder or, Palladium, fantasy would be a good one too, because this would suit itself well to that. You've got all kinds of just really cool creatures. A black anus, which is anise, I believe is how it's said, but it's basically a hag. Super cool. The Blark or black dog, which is a demonic dog. So lots of cool stuff. I love the art for the blue cap. Super cool. And I believe there's red caps in here as well. The brown man is super cool. And just enough information. Look at that. That is. Do you want to run into that? I don't. The giant snail. Capybaras or Capliopas, dards, your demonic steed, which is awesome. Just cool stuff. Look at that. Oh, that's a creepy picture right there. I think lurking in the water waiting for you. Drogs, all kinds of cool stuff. I'm hoping we come across a Fadfelin, the Fidil. They got Furbolg. You want to know where D&D got its Furbolg from? There you go. Ancient European folklore there. I thought there was a red Fomorians, which I dig. So you don't see a lot of Fomorians in D&D or Pathfinder. So this is a great monster you could convert into your game. So just all Hellhound, Hydra. Where's I'm trying to find. We're just doing a quick, because obviously I want you to go out and buy the book. Leprechauns. There you go. Merfolk, which is awesome. Their take on Nightmare. This is creepy. You can read that little. Oh, it's so good. So much good stuff in here. The art, like I said, definitely holds the theme. There it is. I love the red cap. Look at that big nose, sharp pointy teeth with a club. Just gonna beat somebody to death because they're malevolent little face spirits. So, I mean, just awesome. And then when we get to the end of the book, it gives us a whole bunch of other stuff. And like I said, super cool stuff in here. Here's your bibliography where they got a lot of the stuff from. So you can go look this stuff up yourself. I love that they contain a bibliography. I think that's great. And then, of course, here's your Kickstarters. And then the back page. So this is just wonderful, guys. The art is consistent. The PDF is very nice. And you got 153 pages of gaming goodness that, like I said, if you're not a huge chivalry and sorcery fan, it still will work good for any other fantasy game, if nothing else, to give you ideas. I don't know what the retail is going to be on it. Maybe Steven will post that down in the show notes below. But if you haven't looked at chivalry and sorcery, because if you're like me, you thought, oh, it's only historical gaming. Boy, was I wrong. This game is pretty solid. It can run a really good fantasy game. So if you haven't given it a try and you're looking for something where you want a little more crunchier and you want a little more character depth than say like D&D will give you, this is definitely the game that'll do it. I was pleasantly surprised at my I think I've gotten to play it 3 times now, and I'm hoping Steven will run for us again, or maybe even Andy Turner will run. I hear he runs an amazing game, so hopefully he'll run as well. So it's super cool stuff, guys. Pick it out when you see it on your game store. Ask your local game store to get you a copy in, or order it straight from Britannia Games. You can't go wrong, especially if you're over in the EU. That's going to be a little bit easier to get, but they have distribution here in the U.S. One of the great things is Steven is just a financial whiz on working all that stuff out. So if you're a small-time publisher and you're looking for help to get your books into other venues, give Steven a shout. He can help you out. This is just great material, guys. It's for chivalry and sorcery, but like I said, I don't think it's specific to CNS. Of course, the stats are, but there's nothing in there that you can't convert to your favorite game to just throw your players off a little bit. I think it's an excellent resource, and I'm very happy that I have it in my library now. So a huge shout out to Steven again. A big thank you to everybody. That's pretty much my review. Go out and buy it. I think the art's gorgeous. I think the layout of the book is fantastic. I like everything they've done, and I think it's just cool stuff. And we need more stuff like this. We need some more diversity in our gaming environment, and I think this brings a nice chunk of diversity. I do want to take this last portion of the video to just give a couple shout outs. As always, a huge shout out to Nasser Super Beast for helping me with my stuff. He always posts on all my videos and stuff, and he turns me on to really cool stuff that I wouldn't have known about necessarily otherwise, and so it's really great. In fact, he's how I came in to be in contact with Mr. Turner and Mr. Staples. So super cool. But we do have a new subscriber, David Residlo. So a big thank you to you, Cristiano Gris, as always, for commenting. A lot of people, Eerie Nights has replied to a couple of my videos. Thank you so much for watching and taking the time. Wayne Ratley, as always great commentary from Wayne. New subscriber, Miguel Ribeiro. He's also a publisher. He's joined my Discord. If you don't know, Mr. Mean runs a Discord, and I have quite a few publishers and indie publishers on there. And you can pick those out. I believe they're in blue, and my Patreons are in green, or it's the other way around. I never remember. But anyway, if you're a small-time publisher and you got books on Drive-Thru RPG, or you've just physically put your own book out there, reach out to me. I'd love to do a review of your book. All I ask for is a copy, either a PDF or a physical copy. I prefer physical copy, but I will work with PDF because I don't ever want to put you out of money. But a lot of people like to send the physical book. But Miguel is he's a publisher, and he's done some cool stuff. I got reviews coming of his stuff here real soon. He's more in the horror vein, which is not my cup of tea, but I will say that I found several useful things in his adventures and stuff that I will obviously abscond with for my own games. So, and that's, I think, is a sign of a good GM to go ahead and, you take from all sources is where you can get it. And so Angus McNichol, he's also a publisher. He does a very cool magazine called Parallel Worlds. It's on Drive-Thru. It's available as a PDF, but it is a gaming magazine. It has cool chivalry and sorcery articles in it, as well as Black Void and some stuff for Rangers of the Shadow Deep. So all kinds of gaming goodness in there. I highly recommend you go check it out. It's on Drive-Thru RPG. I think it's about $7 a copy. And it is full of gaming goodness, and you might get some stuff in there that you wouldn't normally otherwise see. In this age of digital media, magazines are kind of hard to come by, and while it's not a physical magazine, it is a PDF magazine, and it has really great articles, fiction in it. It's very well laid out. Angus does a great job, so definitely go check that out. He was kind enough to join my Discord, so I'm grateful. I did do a review of his stuff. Go check it out in the archives there. But guys, I hope you enjoy it. Hit me up on Discord. We have an active community. Hit me up here on YouTube. Drop a line if you like. I enjoy doing this, and I love when publishers send super cool stuff like this for us to look at. And I hope it's piqued your interest, and you pick a copy up and tell them Mr. Meaton sent you. So, as always, peace and hair grease. Remember, love one another, be nice, wear your mask, and be nice.